Matthew chapter number 8, verse 28. This account of the maniacs has always piqued my interest since my vocation for nearly 20 years had to do with those who were not mentally well. School. You're good. Hey, I will tell you what. One of the blessings and benefits of being a small church is that that's not a problem. And if you need to have accommodations in order to be able to pay attention and take notes and stuff, I'm going to give you accommodations. If you need accommodations not to sleep, I got some hymnals. I'll give you, I need one of those. So, yeah, I told Miss Morris, as long as it didn't become a distraction, Chris, that don't make faces. Go with the flow. Oh, it's just a normal thing. Okay. What? Yes. Yeah, it's 19th. I'm glad I heard you bragging about knowing it's Wednesday earlier. I was hoping something would come along that would knock you down a little bit. So, I appreciate Misty saying, "Hey, I really want to take notes." So, but if I see y'all passing notes, we'll have to have a discussion about that. And so, you can pass notes as married people. It's okay to still love each other. And so, we used to pass notes too. Is he ever going to stop? Can you believe he said that? I'm hungry. Kill the child later. Things like that. We would pass those. Yeah. So we pass those kind of notes, you know. So, no, we didn't go to prom. We hated everybody in our class. So I went to work. She took care of our babies. So that's what we did for prom. So one baby at that point. So anyway, Matthew chapter number 8, and verse number 28, the Bible says, in Matthew 8, verse number 28, "And when he was come to the other side, into the country of the Gergesenes, there met him two possessed with devils, coming out of the tombs, exceeding fierce, so that no man might pass by that way. And behold, they cried out, saying, What have we to do with thee, Jesus, thou Son of God? Art thou come hither to torment us before the time?" It wasn't the men crying out, it was the devils in them crying out. There is an appointed time where all the devils will be cast into the lake of fire for the final time, and that's kind of what's going on with that statement. Though I would say that those who are either possessed or oppressed by devils in their lives are much tormented by spiritual things. And so if you see somebody under conviction, a lot of times you'll see somebody really groaning in their spirit. Whether it's they need to be saved, and so as they fight that, needing to be saved, there's a lot of turmoil and destruction in their lives, or whether they're saved and need to be right with God. You say, what about all those people that are supposed to be saved and they're not right with God and they're not under any kind of conviction? Well, they're probably not saved. And you think about that, well, how come I have to be under torments Why do I have to be chastised as a saved person and that person gets away with murder? Well, they're not going to. They're going to face the righteous God one day and fall under eternal judgment. So maybe take your stripes now and be okay with that as a Christian. And let's not get envious of those that don't. But off the beaten path a little bit there, they were tormented. They didn't want Jesus to come and bother them, and they knew he would. And he meets two demon-possessed men here. And here's the thing, the other gospel accounts only mention one of the men. And it may be that one of them was more severe in their manifestation of demon possession. That the one that all the others, they focused on him. Right? When you got two crazy people and one's like double crazy, then you might not notice the one that's not. And so here we have the Matthew showing both of them, but the rest of the Gospels only show one. And the one that we see in all the Gospels is possessed, as we know, with a legion of demons. Many many demons, and maybe this was just like his henchman. Maybe just somebody kind of going along with him, had a few less. Maybe he had 5, I don't know. And so, but Matthew fully accounts us for these, gives us all of them. And they come out of that tomb exceeding fierce. Now, they were unclean, obviously because of their demonic possession, but their demonic possession caused them to fall into contact with the dead, and they displayed a fierce, uncontrollable behavior. Those demons drove the men to live among the tombs. And we all throughout history have seen that demonology and death are tied together quite often. Even when Saul went to the witch at Endor. And why did he go to the witch at Endor? Because he wanted to speak to the dead. And we know that he approached the witch at Endor, Saul, the king, back in a Samuel or Chronicles, somewhere in there. And Saul sought out this witch and asked to speak to Samuel, the prophet, and this witch raised up an apparition that appeared to be Samuel the prophet. Now, I personally don't believe it was Samuel the prophet, because I believe to be absent from the body is present with the Lord, and that this witch had conjured up probably a demon that was fashioned after the like of Samuel to give Saul some answer. And I would say that even this demon couldn't disobey God's will and gave Saul what God wanted Saul to hear. And you say, well, does that always happen? No, I think most of the time demons tell us what we want to hear. And tell us, get us in trouble that way. But they were unclean. They had gone into the tombs. They had fierce, uncontrollable behavior. And because graveyards and the dead were terribly unclean and offensive, not just the demon possession, but where they lived would have been unclean. Though I feel like, from my experience with demon possession, no, I'm not a Catholic priest, and I don't do exorcisms, but I have experienced what I believe to be demon possession on numerous occasions. I have met, in my former vocation, many that could not be described as anything but demon possession. There was this one lady one time, and I don't remember the time frame, it's been so long, but it was multiple weeks that this woman did not sleep, that she was full of manic energy, that she screamed, cursed, hollered, and beat anybody up that tried to come near her. And she was a woman on the woman's side, but it always took men to come over, not one, not two, but a host of men to come over and restrain this lady to give her medication, which then had no effect, other than slow her down a little bit so that there was a little bit of peace for maybe 30 minutes to an hour, while this Thorazine that should give people the shuffles gave her only about an hour's worth of relief. And she would run and jump and climb on furniture and throw herself around. And it took men, and she was small. She was Nikki's size. And it would take giant men to hold her down. And so I wasn't qualified because I'm not giant. But it took giant men to hold her down while she got her medication and to interact with her when she was hurting people. And then one day we walked in, and this thing walks up to people and says, the names have been changed to protect the innocent. Hi, my name's Jill. Nice to meet you. Wasn't her name. You're over here like, we've been dealing with you for months. I know your name. I have imprints of your fits. No, I have watched you. I know who you are. And she had no recollection of those months. We did. I've known children that could pick up grown men and hurt them. I've been injured by children. I've been thrown off of teenage girls. They say, I believe in demon possession. I do. Now, I think there's a line between behavioral problems and demon possession, and especially younger kids aren't as subject to that. It's mostly been junior age and above that I've seen that in practice with them. But I'm just telling you, demon possession's real. So we like to watch movies and read books and stuff that talk about, the big thing is, zombies and witches and witchcraft and demons and all that kind of stuff, all these horror movies and stuff. Chris wanted to finally see me. I know it was. Yes, I miss this face too. I don't look at it anymore. So, but anyway, yeah, you want me to put up how the drummers, some of these modern churches, they've got the drum set with the glass enclosure. And oftentimes the drums are facing backwards because it's just so much noise and loudness. And I wonder, do y'all want me to get one of those that's smoke glass? You can just hear the voice, "Don't look behind the curtain." And so, but anyway, these men were under demon possession. And after working in a prison and working in a mental hospital and raising scratch that. After working in a prison and working in a mental hospital, I'm telling you right now, demon possession is real, and we need to be careful what we allow in our gates. What we allow in our gates, because I think that there are times where even Christians, I do not believe, based on biblical evidence, that Christians can be possessed, but I do believe they can be oppressed by demonic activity. I believe there are times where you come into a church service and somebody there is causing it to be just a wash. Their attitude, they're being either, hopefully they're saved and only being oppressed, but whatever is going on in their life that they're allowing the devil to have a foothold in their life, they brought it to church with them, and it's just a bad spirit. And sometimes I almost wonder if it'd be better on everybody's count if you just didn't come. No, you're fine. I feel a good spirit tonight, so it's not you. No, not tonight anyway. So, but as a pastor, you see a lot of stuff, right? And sometimes you want people to get help, and at the same time, you also know that some people just destroy the spirit of a church anytime they're available. And sometimes it's rare, it's random. Sometimes they're okay, and sometimes they're not. But the part of the problem is what we're allowing into our homes. What we're allowing into our homes. And a lot of us don't filter that. We don't filter the books. We don't feel. Anybody familiar with this creature called Huggy Wuggy? Yeah, I figured you are. Yeah, he's demonic and evil. Those things are terrible. And for a long while, I know the truth hurts, and for a long while, those things were being allowed on YouTube Kids. Now I think they've since removed that one from YouTube Kids. But anybody seen the news stories? Where YouTube Kids, you'd be playing along with a Mr. Wiggles or something, the Wiggles, and all of a sudden it'd be interrupted, and it'd be some terrible trash like burn your house down, kill your parents, things like that, and then it'd go on to be the Wiggles again. Now, YouTube's algorithm has gotten good at telling what's being said and everything in a video and filtering that out. But I wouldn't let YouTube be my gate. Oh, it's YouTube Kids, it's safe. I wouldn't let YouTube be my gate. I just wouldn't. And then there's these, I've heard, there's working in the middle field again, my interest is piqued by these stories. And there is some other dangers, such as recently there have been more than one story in the news. And if you miss those stories, some of them I also see just come into to different places. I've seen them in the past. But they're news stories about Roblox. It used to be that other one, the Lego one. What's that other one? Minecraft. And I'm sure Minecraft's got some things in it too. But Roblox's been in the news recently about these kids that were told by malicious actors on there through the audio or chat, where they were told to burn their house down or kill their parents. And the news story is they tried. And what am I trying to say? I'm not trying to get in your home and meddle and all that kind of stuff, but the demonic activity is out there. If you go to the bookstore today, the Wiccan section has grown. And I haven't been to a bookstore in a long time, so I would assume that it's out of this atmosphere right now. But even when I was a teenager and a young adult, the Wiccan section of a bookstore was huge. And now you can find on Amazon, let me give you a warning. You can find on Amazon, The Christian's Guide to Witchcraft. And it's not the Christian's warning about witchcraft. It's not what's wrong with witchcraft. It's how to integrate witchcraft into your Christian experience. Now, I'm not trying to put ideas in your head and give you license. I'm trying to call warnings out to what's out there. And there is demonic activity. These churches, Hillsong, I finally remember the other one, Bethel. Hillsong and Bethel are the big names. There are a lot of churches that are kind of like loosely affiliated with these churches as far as their belief systems and their music and stuff. And for Easter, the last couple of years, for Christmas, those two for sure, they have had pageants, like a lot of churches do, right? Our Easter pageant, our Christmas play. They've had, might as well call them Hollywood-level productions, or the Broadway-level productions. And these people are dancing in costumes that are pagan, going all the way back to Ishtar and all kinds of pagan symbology on their costumes, pagan symbology in their headgear. Their dancing is pagan, movements and symbology. This is churches, and a large majority of non-denominational churches, a large majority of churches with contemporary Christian music in their services are singing and playing Hillsong and Bethel music in their services. So what are they bringing into their services? Demonic influences. Say, Pastor, you're being weird. If you think I'm being weird, then you're not prepared for what's coming. This CCM stuff that used to be just rock and roll with Christian lyrics, and we could argue that way. We could argue, it's rap, but there were early in the CCM sphere in my realm, not Jesus music from the 70s, but I'm talking 80s, 90s, early 2000s. That was a lot of even often good doctrine with bad music. There were some groups, I don't want to mention names because I don't want to get people interested. But there were some groups, they put out really good lyrics that were doctrinally sound early in those times. But their music was terrible, so we could argue some things, right? Like, okay, yeah, it's doctrinal, but the music's bringing in some problems. Modern CCM isn't doctrinal. It's some of it downright blasphemous when you actually look at the words. I know we're not here I get myself in trouble with this CCM thing because people get upset about it and stuff. And you want me to do it? I'll do this too. KJV? No, we'll just pull out all the stops and make everybody mad tonight. But no, the truth is that we're allowing demonic influences into our churches, and because of that, we're bringing demonic oppression into our Christian spheres. And I'm unfortunately extremely aware that even many independent Baptists are listening to CCM at home. You know how I know? Because when they sing their songs on the platform, that's what it is. Their style, the way they sing, the way they hold themselves. It tells me that they're either listening to CCM at home or one of their mentors, somebody that influences them in their music is. There's a link somewhere that's bringing it into our churches. In fact, some churches, and I know this isn't what you want tonight, but it's what you're going to get. So we can, if you want to send your family to our sermons, don't send them to this one if you don't want to, get some trouble going on. I'm going to just say it. West Coast Baptist Church College, Lancaster Baptist Church, they're getting full-on contemporary lately. Not just in their style. They have on there, and I'm really not trying to stir up trouble. I'm not trying to stir up trouble. I'm not trying to make people mad. I'm trying to warn folks that on that platform, they now have what we call song leading team, which is fine. I don't care. I would like a song leader. They have a team up here of song leaders. They have 5 or 6 people up here with their microphones. It's a worship team. It's a praise team. It's all it is. But they call it a song leading team. But the music on there is often contemporary. And I'm not trying, there are some people, I have reserved this statement because there are some people it would have hurt. And they're not here right now, and some of them just need to get over it. But I've reserved that statement for a while. But what I'm trying to say is even independent Baptist churches. I used to be a song leader at camps, for our camps that we used to go to, and I would have to fight the fight to keep the contemporary music off the platform. I'd have to say, look, that song's not appropriate for our camp. And it's because it's seeping in. And the reason it's seeping in is because we don't have gates on our home. We think it's okay to have this music or that music, and it's just creeping in badly. And you say, why'd you go on this tangent? Because I believe there's demonic influences involved. I could if I wanted to. I don't know that it's appropriate, but I could go and get the lyrics of a bunch of modern songs, and we could pull those out, and we could walk through those lyrics, and we could talk about why they're not biblical and why there's demonic influence involved, and we got to be very careful about that. And I just want to bring out a clarion call that we are suffering sometimes just pure up demonic influence. We're just pure oppressed. And until we identify that and figure that out, we're not going to get free of it. And I have a book in my possession called Possession, Oppression, or Depression. Yeah. Possession, oppression, or depression, maybe. That one word, it might be, but that one's not ringing quite right. But it's oppression, possession, or something. No, I don't think so. But the point is that there's 3 things that could go on in your life. I'll look it up later and let you know. Send it out. Miss Anderson's doing it now. So that's what tangents do. They get us out of our focus. But it basically puts out that there are 3 ways the devil works on you. One of those is possession. That's if you're not saved. Oppression. And oppression is generally when we respond and allow our emotions to control us, because the only way the devil can control a Christian is through some kind of gate, and it's our emotions as that gate as Christians. So when he puts outward pressure on our lives, that then begins to roil our emotions. Once our emotions are in control, we could be in a state of what's called demonic oppression. He's kind of oppressing and pressing in and controlling us through our emotions, like little marionette strings on our emotions. And then I can't remember what the other one is right now. It might be the result. It might be depression. It might be the result of those. I don't remember. But the point is that if we allow the devil reign in our life, we're going to be like these men. They didn't start that way. I guarantee you that. They didn't start that way. But something happened in their life. Demons love death. And death isn't where we should want to live and reside. We got about 5 minutes, Chris, if you want to make your way that direction. Very soon, you'll have a tablet that'll do it all. And so, yeah. And so, anyway, they were exceeding fierce. They were troubled. They were. The other thing is that as we allow that kind of thing in place, it's considered unclean because it encourages superstition in others. Let me kind of throw this out there too. We want to be careful of our superstitious nature. Anybody ever want to throw salt over your shoulder when you spill it? You ever been told don't split the pole or your relationship will end, or walking under a ladder. You got hurt walking under a ladder because you were dumb enough to walk in an unsafe place. It's not safe to walk under a ladder. All right, the black cat thing. There's all kinds of, and there's rules, right? There's rules of what you have to do if these things occur. Well, you know what you're doing? You're allowing superstition to control your life, and it's bringing in demonic oppression in your life. Now, I'm not saying right now that if you throw salt over your shoulder because you spilt the salt, that you're demonically oppressed. I'm just saying you're giving credence to thoughts that are not biblical. And they come from old wives' tales and superstitions. And the Bible is very clear that that's not good. That doesn't mean that if you take some herbs to help with some different ailments in your life that you're also superstitious. Herbs are very often helpful in our lives. It's not superstition. But anybody ever been taken to a witch doctor and have smoke blown in your ears to clear up I know somebody who has. You know what that is? Superstition. But you know what it really is? Demonic activity. If you were a missionary in India, you would realize how a lot of what we do as old wives' fables and superstitions really have their roots in go down to, your husband's from the bayou, right? Down there in Louisiana. Them folks has got voodoo and all kinds of stuff, and you think that's not real? Well, that area, all that area, we have friends in Houma, Louisiana. Their pastor there on the bayou, basically, and they run into that stuff. It's all kinds of demonic activity. All that comes from the Haitian islands, stuff like that. Those islands and people, a lot of that comes from that. But anyway, I'm really getting out of subject. But we got to be careful about this demonic stuff. And they cried out, saying, "What have we to do with thee, Jesus, Son of God? Art thou come hither to torment us?" And those demons were tormenting the men, but the demons wanted to be left alone. And I tell you what, not really related, but how many people, they'll torment others and then, something happens to them and they fall to pieces like, how could that happen to me, blah, blah, blah. I mean, you tormented others. You made other people's lives miserable, but they don't want Jesus to interfere with their work. And here's the thing, when Jesus comes into somebody's life, it interferes with their work. The demons can't abide Jesus. How do you get rid of a demon? If somebody's possessed, they must be saved. Now, I'm not going to say that's an easy task. It's not. I would say that somebody that far into demonic activities is going to be very tough to reach. But I'll also tell you this, from working in the field for so long, there are times of clarity where it seems like that demonic activity seems to recede a little bit, and there's clarity in their eyes, and that's a good opportunity. But also the Christian that's oppressed. There's a difference between a Christian that is so bound in their emotions and so oppressed by the demonic activity in their life. It's hard to reach somebody like that. They are so terribly negative and under emotion control that they're hard to reach. But bringing Jesus in, it'll take care of business. Bringing Jesus in will help. That's why I encourage folks, and what we do, especially in counseling, is we try to stay very close to pointing people to the Bible only. Yeah, there's times where we share experience, we interpret, the Bible into practical realms so that you understand what it's saying in a practical sense. But the whole fact of the matter is we got to send people to Christ. We got to send people to the Bible. He's the one that will make change. That's why you don't get change in therapy. That's why you don't see change in Christian counseling. Therapy, and if you've ever been into therapy, you know what it is. It's come dump on me and tell me all that's wrong, and then the next week you're doing it again. And the next week you're doing it again. And the next week you're doing it again. And they really feel like, I think, that if they can listen to you and give you coping mechanisms, that'll change you. But most therapists are also pretty wealthy and have a steady influx of return customers. And one thing I really enjoy about some of this biblical counsel, I hear this statement a lot, is this: we're not here to build a business. We're here to lose business. As Christian counselors, I want to teach you to the point you don't need me anymore. I am to work myself out of a job. Now the good thing is, there's many more broken people than helped people, so I'll probably never run out of job. But I don't want you to be my job forever. Well, why is it different? I'm not bringing you coping mechanisms, I'm bringing you to Christ. There are tools and mechanisms that Christ gives us in the Bible to help us practically, but the ultimate goal is to be like Christ. And let me finish this section, we'll be done. They knew Jesus, even if the disciples didn't. We read prior to them coming across this sea into the Gadarenes that they did not believe. They didn't know who Jesus was in the boat. They were amazed at the healings that He did. And here these demons know Jesus. Have you ever been, and I'll just finish with this. Have you ever been at a job and somebody made a statement about the things of God that shamed you because they knew more about it than you did and they aren't even in church? Has that ever occurred? It's occurred to me, unfortunately. And what that does for me is say, I got to fix this. I got it. Not happening again. But why does that happen? I don't know. But it's sad when the devils know more about God than we do. It's sad when the devils are able to see more peace. The devils had peace without Jesus there. It was when Jesus came that they didn't have any peace. Now they're going to be tormented later. Don't worry about that. But their peace was in tormenting others. And I want to be sure that our peace is found in Christ. I'm going to leave it there. We'll cast them out next week. And y'all all know they get cast out in a herd of swine. We'll talk about that a little bit next week and move on.